Hi, welcome everyone to the How Round Is Your Roti podcast. I'm Priya. This podcast aims to discuss topics that impact and support South Asian women. Today I have with me Sarita Babber, an alignment coach. She helps people to heal and align and manifest their best life. So hi Sarita, thank you for joining me
Hi,
today.
Priya. Thank you so much for having me on board.
Yeah, well, first of all, I mentioned that you're an alignment coach. So could you please tell us what that means and how you became involved in that area?
Yeah, sure. So, alignment for me came through my own journey. It came through me going through life, living quite unconsciously as we do, not aware of what actions you're taking and sometimes the implications of those actions. And I think about 80% of people in this world are living in that state where they don't actually realize they're just going through life, trudging along day to day, get up in the morning, your normal routine, and then going back to bed. And before you know it, that is your life. And with me, that was pretty much what it was. I then built a six-figure business. I was over the moon, really like just moving forward until something happened and it just came tumbling down overnight and sabotaged it. And at the time, I didn't even realize that that was manifestation, that was sabotage. And I just thought because I was so unconscious, I didn't realize that there were so many blocks within me, within myself. As they say, your inner world shapes your outer world. And I was holding on to so many blocks, emotionally, physically, energy wise, and also then mentally. And it was when I was looking for those answers that I realized that I wasn't living in alignment because my mind was thinking something else. My body, my emotions were, thinking in fear, totally different directions. Whereas my mind was like, I want to move forward. And my body was stopping me. And that's when I had to put the work in to align what my mind and my body were thinking, my emotions, my energy, to be able to move forward in the direction that I needed to move forward in. So that is what living in alignment is. It's about making sure that your mind, your body, your energy are all moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And you mentioned there you were having these blocks, but you didn't know about them. So throughout that process, how did you begin to identify what those blocks were that were coming up for you?
I actually didn't. It was all trial and error. I'll be really honest with you, because initially it was the fact that I had self sabotaged my six-figure business, which I had grown so proudly, and like I said, it had tumbled down. So I was looking for answers. I did not realize at the time that you had to align all of these together. And like I said, I was looking for answers. I know I had a lot of resentment towards life at the time because things weren't working out for me. And I had also at the time had coaching sessions through my corporate job that I was doing at the time. And my coach at the end of six sessions, she actually felt sorry for me because I would come out of there crying in tears. She'd opened up Pandora's box, is what I call it. And even at that time, I didn't realize the issues that were behind. She gave me an extra two sessions. And then she said to me, I think you need to see a therapist. And I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do now? Because is therapy going to work? And I knew inside that I needed to do that inner work. And deep down, I knew there was something, but I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't until I then came across my mentor who now mentors me that, um, that we have things that we don't forgive. We hold on to things from our childhood. And when I was looking at those journal prompts and I was doing that inner work for myself, going back to my childhood days, writing what the things that I'm still holding on to and the things that are holding me back, I managed to sort of then extract some of the answers. And then I managed to realize, oh my goodness, so much of this is from childhood programming, where I was brought up in, like a lot of your audience, Priya, is South Asian women. So where you've got, you're brought up in a first generation immigrant household. And me being the eldest daughter of a family of, brought up in a joint family, brought up with all the traditions and, you know, very much hands on, very religious and we do things this way, and yet very progressive. On the one hand, we want to grow, the next generation. It's all about education. But then somewhere in that bringing up was also the fact that actually you're a girl, so you need to step back, you need to hold back. You can be successful, but the male always dominates. And I didn't realize that those programmings were so strong that it was those that ended up being the downfall of my business, because I was sort of trudging forward, moving forward, and, enjoying life, enjoying the path that I'd chosen. But then something came along and it was like it was a reminder to say, what are you doing? Because you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, there's always, I find, within our culture, and a similar background to you, that limitations are placed among girls, among women. And like you said earlier, it's like, you can do this, you have your education, be a high achiever, get the grades, but then you know what? Oh, you need to be married, you need to be behind your husband, you need to be supportive of everyone else. And that's where we
Yeah.
start playing limitations. It's interesting that you said that you had to reflect through coaching, therapy suggested and journal prompting, because I speak a lot about this, how I do in my business and coaching clients. And it is that process of stopping and self-reflecting that then allows people to move forward. So how have things changed for you now that you've, mentally gone through this reflective period and now you're changing your outer world?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I've put in so many practices on a day-to-day basis, and believe you me, it's not easy. It's not easy, but you've got to make it into a lifestyle. It's not something that you work on one day and then forget about for the next 4 days. You've got to really become conscious, and that's where the journaling comes in, because it makes you reflect back on what your subconscious programming is, what your fears are, why you're not moving forward, why you're stuck, all these questions. You've got to, first of all, bring that self awareness in. And it's only once you start doing that, then you can start working on what you want to change, because you're that much more conscious. So through that process, I've brought in so daily, I tell you what my routine is. I do Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian technique for forgiveness. I do the water bottle technique, because we are 70% water. So why not put that into that energy, what we want in our lives, that healing, put that into a water bottle, put that into the water that we consume. So and that how I have seen that work wonders with myself. I
What does
also
that do practically, the water bottle technique?
practically, yep,
What
okay.
what what is
So
that?
I haven't got my water bottle here, but I have my affirmations plastered on my water bottle. Okay. So what is it that, and your emotions. So what is it that you want to feel? Dr. Masaru Emoto, Japanese scientist, he did some experiments, and you can go onto Google and you can Google these. So he did an experiment with water in the 1980s. So he got test tubes with water, and on different test tubes he froze them, but before freezing them, he labeled them: love, hate, evil, all these different emotive words. Some were negative, some were positive. And he found that when they were then studied under the microscope, those test tubes with the water, with the hate, the negative emotions, those crystals were really badly damaged. They were not formed. They were really ugly compared with the ones with love, self-love, peace, calm, all those nice emotions, joy. Those crystals there were formed so beautifully and symmetrically. And like I said, his experiment is on Google. You can search it and look for it. So when we think about how our body is formed, we are 70% water. So we're talking to ourselves. And I've done this so many times. Not now. I do not. I refuse to do this to myself. But we all do it. Oh, you silly woman, you don't know how to do this. And
That
you
inner,
talk to yourself. That
yes,
inner critic, the inner
yeah,
self-dialogue,
yes,
it's
yeah.
so negative. So I was doing this pretty much 14 hours of the day. When I actually started doing the exercises that I've done, I was pretty much doing this 14 to 16 hours a day. So when you're thinking you're doing this, you're programming that water within your body, those crystals, to be deformed. And what are you doing to yourself? You're deforming the energy within you through those water crystals. So now to change that, I've now put those emotions, the nice emotions, the love, the peace, the joy, the calm, the emotions that I want, the success. We all want to be successful. And I now put them on my water bottle. And so that absorbs the energy, because that's what Masaru Emoto did, was just labels. And if that water the energy was absorbed in the water bottles, then why can we not consume that energy and build ourselves with that energy? So that's one of the simplest things that I do on a day-to-day basis. It's not something you need to think about. Put masking tape around your water bottle. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. And that's one of the techniques. Ho'oponopono, again, it's a Hawaiian technique, again, very scientifically proven, so used by a psychologist in Hawaii on an ward of criminals. And within a couple of years, he didn't treat physically his patients. He said these 4 phrases, reading through the patient's records. And that's an energy healing technique. So those 4 phrases is very simple, very high frequency words. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. That's it. 4 phrases. And through this method, I didn't realize, but through the journaling prompts, I'd realized that I had a lot of resentment towards my childhood days, towards the fact that I was a girl and I wasn't valued. I didn't feel, I wouldn't say I wasn't, because my parents did look after me. They did value me. However, boys were always put on a pedestal. And I had a lot of resentment towards my caregivers and towards my family. And it's taken me a lot of time to process this. Like I said, I made it a day-to-day practice. I did Ho'oponopono 108 times in the morning and evening as a ritual. And through that process, because I didn't realize that some of those relationships, they were playing out in my current life. And some of those negative behaviors that I had from my childhood subconscious programming was acting out in my life today as it is, years and years later. And through this practice, I've now been able to not only resolve those feelings and the guilt and the fear and all those emotions that I had from childhood. I've resolved those. And I've actually resolved the emotions with my current relationships in my life, with my family, as much as my husband, my in-laws. It's been phenomenal. And that's an energy shift, which you've got to experience. It's not something you can say, I do this and I'll get this. I've made it into a lifestyle. And the shifts that I've seen over the last year and a half have been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's so
Absolutely
great to
phenomenal.
hear. And I think, just to reiterate what you said, this kind of work takes time, and it takes
It
that
does.
conscientious practice to really dig deep into what's been happening in your life. Where have those messages come from? Why were they there? And are those messages still relevant for you today? And, it's working through that and saying yes and no, and then devising what do you want for your life and trying to heal through that as well. It sounds like you've had a great shift in your life, which is wonderful. So if someone was in your position now, maybe back a few months ago, a year ago, when you were still feeling that stuck,
Mm.
what advice would you give to them? Where could they start on this journey?
I would say start exactly where I've just said, Ho'oponopono. I've got a video on I've got a YouTube channel, and I have created 108 times Ho'oponopono with 532 hertz healing music. And that's literally what I listen to. Even if it's just in the background, put it on twice a day. I've counted the 108 times, so you don't need to worry. You've got to trust the process. And that's what I was told, because initially when I was introduced to it, and I was like, oh, this is not right. This cannot make sense. But then I was told, trust the process. Just do it. See what happens. And I did. I literally trusted the process. And not only relationships, but I had this, being the eldest daughter, another wound, emotional wound that I've healed is with money. How many times have we been told in terms of money that, oh, there isn't enough, or we can't pay it for this year, this month, and you have to wait? And our parents, they came into this country, they came with nothing. And of course, they were building, building, building. And as um, the eldest child, that was
Mhm.
really at the forefront, because, oh no, we can't buy this month, or you have to wait. And I didn't realize how deeply ingrained that subconscious wound was. And again, I did it towards money. And I now, whereas before I used to get those anxiety feelings, because every time it was of spending money, it was like, oh my goodness, is money going out? I'm not going to have enough. When actually all along, I had enough. I had a good job. I had income coming in. I had built a business. And even then there was that anxiety, you know, I can't spend. And I've been able to shift that towards money, if in such a phenomenal way. It's been amazing.
So it's releasing part of that energy, that negative energy, and
Yeah,
transforming it to something that's actually beneficial for you.
yeah. And now I'm grateful. I spend money, and I will say, thank you so much. I've got the money to spend. Whereas before, I'm coming in from such a different energy from where I was operating
Yeah.
from before.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier in terms of that alignment, you said energy and emotions, that all have to be aligned together. So
Yes.
what else does it mean, I suppose, in alignment? What are the things that people need to look out for to be aligned?
Yeah. So your mindset, you've got to be working on your mindset. So I am an NLP certified coach as well. And I've had to do a lot of subconscious programming through affirmations. And again, when I first started this journey, someone said to me affirmations, and I was like, they don't work. But every time you're telling yourself, I can't do this, this is not this is not for me. What is that? That's an affirmation. And then we're saying affirmations not working. Of course they're working, but they're working because you're telling yourself all those negative things. And you've got to then program your mind and program yourself to speak positively. Now, that's not to say I don't speak negatively and I don't think negatively, because if you don't have those negative thinking and you don't have the fear inside of you, you're not going to be able to protect yourself from a situation where you need to protect yourself. Absolutely. But at the same time, it cannot run your life. And that's what I was allowing it to do unconsciously. I was allowing those negative thoughts, those negative feelings, that negative energy all control me. Because don't forget, I mean, when we say we can't do this, or something bad's going to happen, what happens within our body? I'm going into a bit of chemistry and biology. We then produce the cortisol. We produce the adrenaline. Yep. And it's like you become addicted. Your body, through those emotions, because you're feeling fear, you're feeling anger, you're feeling anxiety, your body is become addicted to cortisol and adrenaline. Yep. And every time your body is producing that, you're then not allowing those nice hormones, your dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, you're not allowing them because your body is so used to the cortisol. That cortisol level comes down, and all of a sudden, you're having to look for a reason to become angry again, or become anxious again, or become fearful again. And something may not even happen, or you might be driving a car, someone just pulls out in front of you, your cortisol levels come down, and all of a sudden, because that car's driven in front of you, you just automatically get angry to produce the cortisol again and get your fix again. It's a bit like someone who's addicted to alcohol or drugs. You see that emotional, your body sees that, there's this lack, and all of a sudden you're having to automatically go into this state of, that negative emotion to create those hormones and push them up again in your body. And we all do it, but we do it so unconsciously that we don't even realize that, the detrimental effect it has on our bodies and our health. It impacts on our health, yeah. And also, the cortisol levels, you're living in that fight and flight, freeze even mode. And that energy is getting stuck within us. And then that is what causes dis-ease, because, it starts with a little bit of pain here, your shoulders maybe, or your stomach, various parts of your body. And again, like I've done a lot of chakra work, because your emotions get stuck, the fear in your root chakra, and then your confidence, not being able to speak and being authentic to yourself. That's your throat chakra. So many times in the past, I've wanted to say something, and I've not been able to speak out, even though I've been prompted. I've not been able to speak out. But again, I've done a lot of alignment work with the chakras. That's very simple technique as well. But I incorporate that into my day-to-day routine. So it's become a lifestyle. It's not something that I've just done. Like we brush our teeth, we wash ourselves, we have a bath, we clean our houses. I was thinking, why do we not clean ourselves on the inside? Why do we not clean our minds and our body and our emotions? Our energy.
It sounds such important work to do, and it is a bit of a journey getting there. And like you said, it takes that consistency and practice. And it's great to hear about the shifts that you've had within your life. I also know that you have a daily evening practice of meditation and working with people in a group. And how does that help people? So we're moving on. We've done the morning routine, but in the evening,
Yeah.
how are you supporting people that way? Because I know you've got a bit of a different practice that you do.
I do. So I've launched the Alignment Accelerator. Okay. So it's a done with you service, because this is what I was finding when I was being told, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to fit this in? And you're thinking of ways to fit it into your lifestyle, not integrate it so it becomes your lifestyle. They're two different things. So I was part of a few support groups where we all cheered each other on to try and, work together and become accountable to this way of life. Now, I mean, I don't need those support groups because it has become my way of life. I automatically do it. But I've now started the Alignment Accelerator. So the idea is to shift the energy through movement. So we do a little bit of movement work. And I always try to play some nice music to get us going, get the body moving. At the end of the day, everybody's tired, and you want to go to bed, you want to have a routine. But it's so important. We might, simple frustration with someone, our children, our partner, somebody at work. What do? We carry that through the day. And then if you're not shifting it, you're going to end up going to sleep with that energy. Something that I did for years and years on end, I didn't even realize. So that's the first thing we do, shift the energy through movement. And then program your mind subconsciously. So there's statements that I say, and we sit down, we calm our energy, or we then move on to breath work. So I incorporate breath work within the routine. Again, it's a nervous system reset, because our nervous system, it's so, you find that it's damaged with the cortisol, the adrenaline, all that negative emotions that we hold on to. And then we do an affirmative process. So I put the music on, and everyone has their affirmations, because we need to reprogram the mind. So, and we need to call in what we want. What are our goals? What are we looking to achieve? And it doesn't have to be a 5-year goal or 10-year goal. It can be just something that you want to do, in the next 6 months. Yep. So we program that in, and I guide you how to create your affirmations using the 4-3-4 method. And then we finish off with more breath work, guided visualization. So all in the space of half an hour, but it leaves you in a higher state of vibration, both within your mind, within your body, within your emotions, your energy. You're shifting from the lower energy states of shame, fear, guilt, apathy, to the higher states of joy, excitement, calm, peace. And you're then don't forget, the next 8 hours are crucial. You're sleeping. You do not want to be sleeping in those dense energies. You want to be sleeping in the light energies and wake up refreshed. And the people who come regularly, they have all said how it's changed their energy. I've had a gentleman come on, he joined me a week ago. And even yesterday, he said to me, I can't believe how much my energy has changed in the space of a week. So, it's fantastic. And the way I've set it up is so that you get the benefits as a customer. I give you the first for 30 days, absolutely free of charge. There is no charge. You come out, you see how it works. There's no recordings or nothing. It's all live, 9 to 9:30. What you want to do after that, I mean, the idea is you settle down with your own routine if you want to do a bit of reading. But I should have shifted your energy from anything dense that you've carried out throughout the day to something calm, because that is self-care, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just thinking as you were saying that, and it sounds like such a beautiful way to end the day, to change, like I said, that energy shift, to change how you're feeling, no matter what's happened in the day. And we are all busy women generally. We have a lot on our plates. And I was also thinking there about giving ourselves permission for that self-care. Because I think sometimes we're last on the list. I always think no matter where you
Yeah.
are in life, sometimes we prioritize other things and we won't think about ourselves in that way,
Yeah.
to think, what is going on in my mind right now? Why am I feeling tense? Why am I feeling stressed? What's going on? And what can I do to help myself? And that's a really proactive way of thinking. And like I said, if you're stuck in that treadmill way of life, every day the same routine, we don't always think about that or prioritize ourselves. And in some ways, I feel that working with South Asian women in particular, we have to tell people, you have permission to look after yourself. Not that you need it, but sometimes just giving them a prompt, giving them some comfort and support to say, this is your time now for yourself, look after yourself and put yourself first. Do the things that are right for you. I
I
mean, in terms
totally
of
agree. Yeah.
with your experience of working with different people, um, would you say you recognize some of that, of just trying to take some self-care?
I recognize not just not just in amongst the South Asian culture and South Asian way of life. It's across the board. And it's not even just women. It's men. There are men out there who are operating, single lifestyle. They have their challenges. We're all humans at the end of the day. We're all here to experience emotions. And it impacts everyone. But I think with the Asian women, generally what happens is, like you said, we tend to give. We don't learn to set our boundaries because we were never taught to set our boundaries. And day to day to day, we give to our children, we give to our in-laws, our parents, our other half, our better half, as you want to call it. We give, give, and we don't look to conserve that energy. And it took me a good 40 odd years to realize, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I'm not giving myself the care, the love, the attention that I need. And that's why you end up, your health deteriorates, your emotion, you end up feeling resentful towards life.
Yeah. And it's how you
And I know,
value yourself as
yeah,
well. I just think women, we're not taught to value ourselves. We're just put behind someone. So when it comes to taking care of ourselves, it's like, oh, can I? Should I? Well, yeah.
yeah. It
Oh,
comes to that same thing, the foot on the gas and the brakes. Your gas is on, and then all of a sudden your emotions are, no, can't do it. And then you're pressing both,
yeah. And not getting anywhere.
not getting anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
stuck,
Yeah.
surviving.
Surviving. Yeah. And that's how I see in my coaching business, a lot of women just stuck in a place and unable to move forward, and they wonder why. And I think a lot of it is because of all the things you've mentioned today. We're not reviewing what's gone on. We're not reviewing that belief system, the mindset, what's happening, and then trying to change that. And so much of it is to do with what we think, what's going on inside first. And it's quite easy when you're in that state to push the blame everyone else and say that you're the victim and things have happened to you. But I think the work that you're talking about is really empowering, because in changing your mindset, you're taking control, you're taking responsibility for what you're thinking and then your actions and behaviors. So again, it all starts with us, right?
It does,
And
it does. And a lot of it is about taking responsibility, because I did that for years. I put the blame on other people. Oh, it's your fault. Is this person is, and you're ending up in that pattern, that loop, that negative spiral of going downhill. And this journey has just made me realize, one, how lucky I am, and two, you've got to work on yourself. It's not going to happen automatically. You've got to put in that work. You've got to, we go to school, and that is putting work into ourselves. We go to work. That again is to earn money and again for ourselves, but we don't do the deeper work. The conditioning, the shifting of that, we don't do. We don't do. And I'd like to really make Ho'oponopono is my mission, to make Ho'oponopono a lifestyle in the UK across every household. I do Ho'oponopono when I'm in the shower now, because I like to habit stack. A lot of us would have read James Clear, his book about habit stacking. So I've habit stacked a lot of these rituals that I do with things that are already in my daily routines. It is, and it's talking to yourself. I was talking to someone yesterday, one of my clients, and I was saying the one thing that I habit stacked was looking in the mirror. We all sit in us women sit in front of the mirror. How many times brush our teeth, do our makeup, morning routine, evening routine? Use that time to speak to yourself and say how amazing you are. Tell yourself, Sarita, you're amazing. And when I first started doing this work, I used to think, oh my goodness, this is not me. Sarita, you're not amazing. You're lying to yourself. But now it just comes really natural. I started doing that practice about a year ago. I started doing that practice. And again, it takes conscious effort, because you're looking in your eyes and you're actually telling yourself, Sarita, you're amazing. And again, it takes time. It takes time, because initially your brain is not going to believe it. Your brain is going to say to you, no, you're talking nonsense. This is not you. Um, but now, it builds that self-esteem. It builds that confidence that women have lost over the years.
We've just not been given it. I think we've not been given that support. I mean, for someone to say to us as children, "Oh, you're brilliant. Look at all the things you're doing. You're going to be amazing." I don't think I can speak for myself, my generation. You might have got that if you were a high achiever, if you got the A stars and the A's, and
Yes,
then your
yes.
worth comes down to your grades. And that's what we keep striving for. I have to keep achieving things to get praise. Where I don't think we were praised just for being ourselves, hearing words
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And the thing that I was just thinking about as you were speaking then is that when we're saying these things to ourselves, in our generation now, we have an opportunity to change things for the next generation. I mean, I know you have daughters, I have daughters, and I want to break those cycles of it's not praise for achievement, it's praise just for who you are, the person you are, the wonderful things you do, no
yeah,
matter it's not to do with achievements. And I think that's such a good message to start sending our children. And when women like ourselves make those changes into our lifestyles, we create ripple effects with other women and other people in our lives because they see that
yeah,
change. And they might,
yes,
you might have old friends or family members saying, Sarita, you've changed. What's gone on? You just,
yeah.
you look different. Because people sense that energy that you're talking about. It's like when
It
you walk in
is.
a room, you sense
It is.
energy around you.
Yes. Yeah. You become magnetic, as they say. So many of these manifestation coaches say, "Oh, become magnetic." You don't understand what that magnetism is. And it's that aura around you. The energy is, I can certainly see a difference in myself. When I walk into a room before, I'd walk in and not feel confident. And that energy came across. That energy came across, whereas now I walk into a room and I can see heads turn, and it's just it's a different feeling altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's good to hear. I think we're breaking away from a certain way of doing things. We're making changes. And I think you've really got a collection of tools there that can support people through. If people are interested and they want to make a change to their mindset, to their energy, I will be, of course, adding all your links to this podcast. So anyone who
Thank you.
is interested, please do look at Sarita's tools there. And I'm sure she'd be a wonderful person to help support you with that. So Sarita, thank you so much for your time
Yeah.
today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on board. And like I said, I can't wait to make the difference, into people's lives. It's not even women. Like I said, men have struggles as well, through grief and loss. And these are all emotions that we don't know how to process because we've not been taught. So just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you for the time. Thank you for listening. It's been wonderful.
Great. Thank you.